says this is from Star Fox, but those are clearly samples from Star Fox 64. What were they thinking? Hey, young kitty. Good evening. Hey, Hidden. Good evening to you as well. Oh, boy. It is cold today. Cold for here. Cold for here. Probably because it's been super humid. You have to get out the hand warmer. Oh, okay. Alright. Let's hop into it here. Crimson Diamond, Part 9, 9 hours, 16 minutes, 10S. I did get an ending last time. I was pretty sure I was at the end game because I was told I was in the end game. And it turns out I was. And last time I pretty much did the end game sequence about as dumb as you could. I pretty much made all of the mistakes that you could do. I answered no to all of the endgame questions, in no meaning I didn't want to give out information to the investigation at the very end. And we saw the result of that. It was like everybody got away, or nearly everybody got away. The guy we're trying to save died. Death via almond. I shaded. Let's see, what else? Maple was brought to help out with the Mountie investigation of everything and was like, I don't know. And so pretty much everybody got away. Yeah, Carl got his. And I was actually thinking about this. In the really bad ending for Lorabo to the Dagger of Omnara, if you really screwed up, there was a cutscene at the end where you get into bed and go to sleep, and then some shadowy figure enters your room and just completely blasts you and everything in the room with the Tommy gun, and then it rolls credits. And I was thinking, like, man, if you didn't point out that Carl was a German spy, like, maybe that would happen in this too, because there is a scene where you get into bed and go to sleep at the very end of this too, right before the credits roll. So I was thinking, like, maybe that's a possibility. But who knows? Who knows? So what we're going to do here is, this is the scene of the final confrontation. So what happened last time was I walked into the middle of the room here, alerted Nestor, whatever this guy's name is. Hey, Chops. Alerted this guy. He grabbed me, and we were tied up here next to Mr. Evans, whatever his name is. And then Nessa fed the candy almonds to him, which ended up killing him. She's trying to get him to sign this fake will right now in order to sign over all their stuff to her. So now I need to figure out a way to distract him. And then go from there, I guess. So what we got? Arrived at an open cavernous area in the mine. Path descends down to a natural platform. It appears that the cave-ins that have been rocking the mine have created some deep chasms. Okay. An abundance of rocks of various sizes litter the floor. This rockfall looks fresh too. Hold on, I need to... No, Discord, stop it. I'm trying to... Copy link. Streaming right now. There we go. Alright. Rockfall looks fresh too. There's a lot more of it. One doorway in the north is still clear. Doorways to the north and the east are blocked by rocks. This is a very dangerous area. Central doorway that leads further back into the mine, as well as a doorway on the right that's completely clogged by a rock fall. You see a large boulder, even taller than you, in the shadows nearby. You also see a table, a fire, and a wheelbarrow. Okay, so the thing in the lower left is a wheelbarrow. Okay. Look. Is this guy's name Nestus? What is this? What? Keep forgetting. Corvus. Nestus is from Alundra. Corvus Shaw is Natalie dressed in a black slack stripe, a vest with metal buttons. Seems like a very clever sword, quite a sharp tongue. You can see why he gets along with Nessus so well. Mr. Richards' eyes widen when he sees you. He gestures with his head to something to the right of him. What is he trying to get me to notice? Something on the table, or maybe the lantern? Well, there's... everything in this room is to the right of Mr. Evans. So there's the table, there's the candy on the table, the lantern. There's a lantern and a campfire. Let's look at our inventory. What have we got to work with here? So we have our own metal lantern. Run out of lantern oil, can't light it again. This is our rock sample from the mine interior. Red and colorless crystal formation, stunning. Some wire from the detonator. Only wires I certainly put to good use, but it's still in our inventory. We still have the wire cutters. The ruby brooch. Oh, scratches on the ruby. Something in my pocket must have scratched it. What in my pocket is harder than a ruby? Wait a second. Did this... We've had diamonds in our pocket this whole time? What? So we've learned from our science stuff in this that rubies have a Mohs hardness of 7.5, and one of the few things that's harder than that is a diamond. So a diamond would be able to scratch a ruby. And this ruby in the brooch has been scratched by something. And it's probably this? Yeah, the almonds. There's some metal in here. Alright, so we have telegraph tape, we have a bullet. You're no expert on guns, this is definitely a bullet. So we have a bullet, we have a tin of detonators with no detonator caps in there. It's empty, we did that. What is this? Fingerprint fragments of Jordan almonds. Okay, partial fingerprint on one of the larger fragments of the Jordan almond. This is a metal button, I think? This button belongs to Corvus. Okay, so we got that. Strand of hair from the tree. That proves that Nessa, whatever her name is, that's a map that shows the Sulaks. Drinking glass. This is the poison. The jar from the river, flypaper, Jack's jam jars, fingerprint on the outside. We did all that. This heart-shaped key I didn't find a use for, or I guess I didn't really try to use it. Right, this is the wax thumbprint. We have some ice, that somehow this ice still is not melted, and it's just been in our pocket this whole time. Sure. Our fingerprints, lodge map, notepad, tape, the duck whistle. Alright, I have to do this. This is really not a good time, Nancy. It's... Alright. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. What is this? Glacial sample, granite. First glance, cliff sample is igneous rock, consistent with what you'd expect for garnets. Cliff sample boasts a variety of fine specimens, pocked with red and white stones. My, I can see why this area is so good for garden mining. The river sample. You're left with 2 colorless minerals with the Mohs hardness greater than 6.5. Interesting. So maybe the river sample? Rub, river sample. So this is I know our man over here is about to be murdered and all that, but we have science to do right now. On brooch. You lightly rub the riverbed sample on the ruby cabochon, promising yourself to take it to the jeweler to polish away all the scratches. Ah, some of the colorless specimens in the sample from the riverbed have scratched the ruby cabochon. It is quite possible that these are diamonds. Diamonds and crimson. Okay, there we go. So there's our proof that proof of diamonds. So we got that. Because we're after seeing all the questions that the game dumps at you at the end of the game, it's important that I have that. So we have definitively proven that there were diamonds in the riverbed, outside of the lodge in Crimson. So our hammer. I know, right? We have capitalism to do here. Simple ice pick, substitute for mineralogist pick. This is rock salt? Rock salt, a trowel. Perfect for digging in the riverbed. Newspaper, coffee cup, drinking cup, plate, our cool blossom hat. So almonds, our jeweler's loop, our empty box of poison stuff, and our fingerprint dusting kit. So, look, Evan. Mr. Richards' eyes widen when he sees you. He gestures with his head to something to the right of him. So you try and get me notice, something on table, or maybe the lantern. Look, table. Old tables left behind in the cavern. There are some crushed Jordan almond pieces on the tabletop. Look, lantern. You can see a lit lantern set down beside a large boulder. Nessa and Corvus must have brought this lantern and used it to light the fire. Now that the lantern Jack lent me has burned out, this lantern is the only ticket out of here. Okay, look, fire. Well, the fire is a welcome source of light. Its flickering and the long shadows it casts lend an air of menace to the scene. Look, wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow has a broken handle and is filled with huge, heavy rocks. Front brace still looks intact, but this wheelbarrow isn't going anywhere. Is there any situation where an immobile wheelbarrow could be useful? I guess we could tie wire to it? Maybe? Alright, well, first things first, you have to distract Corvus. So, throw almond at Corvus. You start to make a move, but the shadows aren't enough to conceal your actions. What was that? Nancy! Ah! Get her! Corvus ties you. Okay, so we're back here on the... Oh my god, you can't just load your... Okay. So if you screw up, you have to hit the escape button a whole lot. So I wonder... Okay. So I can go over here. Okay, so what happens if I go north from here? Everybody dies? Okay, so just us. What was that? Just another cave-in. Alright. We found another death at least. Okay. So it lets me... So can I sneak? You can't use sneak in this game. Okay. So can I push Corvus? Sorry, you can't do that. Okay, so if I go any further down than there... Alright, yep. If I go any further down from there, I get seen. So if I hide... Okay, So I was just holding down once I was behind the rock. This is a pretty good place to conceal myself should Corvus happen to turn his head. Okay. So let's save here. So throw almond at Corvus. You don't think that would be a good idea? Throw hammer at Corvus. Talk to Evan. As much as you want to tell Mr. Richards that help is here, you can't risk calling attention to yourself right now. Look at Evan. Mr. Richards looks resigned to his fate. His mouth is set in an obstinate line. Okay, so he's no longer looking at us because he can't see us. And I push the rock. No result. Look, Nessa? Nessa's angrily waving a document in Mr. Richards' face. Hey, did you? Let me look at the notepad here. I haven't looked at this in most of the game. Crimson has diamonds. Find a way to distract Corvus. That's our current thing. We need to distract Corvus somehow. Maybe this is where I blow the whistle? Now is really not a good time. Okay. Yeah, we did find diamonds. So what I did was I had these samples from the riverbed sample, and it said we're left with 2 colorless minerals with the most hardness greater than 6.5. And then when I opened up the inventory here, oh jeez. All right, Steam Deck, are you okay? Are we gonna get our video back here in a second? I have audio. All right, I gotta disconnect this, reconnect it. All right, come on, Steam Deck, you can do it. I don't even know why it cut out. Alright. Unplug it. Plug it back in. Come on, Steam Deck, you can do it. You can do it, buddy. My monitor's switching to power saving mode now. Why did it just decide to stop outputting video? Come on, Steam Deck. Like I can see it. It is. Oh, now it. Did it get unplugged somehow? Come on, Steam Deck. I don't think it's like out of power or something. Did my Steam Deck just explode? Alright, hold on. Alright. We get to reboot. Alright, it's currently booting. It's making the boot sound. Come on, Steam Deck, you can do it. Oh, there, okay. I don't know why it would have turned off. Come on, Steam Deck. Verifying installation. There was an update that I applied earlier, just before the stream, and it didn't break anything. But maybe it did. Maybe it did actually break something. All right. This. Come on, Steam Deck. You can do it. Why you gotta be like this, Steam Deck? Alright, let's try this other video output. Gonna get anything here? Is this monitor gonna turn on? God. Did the little video adapter thing I'm using just stop working? like I can see the display turning off on my Steam Deck. Oh boy. Linux, not even once. I don't know why this is suddenly not working. Display on. All right. Display off. Display on. Bruh. I can't. Why? Oh my god. Why? I just want to. We're at the fucking end of the game. Why is it doing that? Oh my god. Steam Deck, please. You're killing me. Alright, I'll manually reboot the Steam Deck. Alright. This is not my fault, I swear. We're rebooting a Steam Deck. Hopefully it doesn't give me the weird bootloader thing. I used to dual boot this thing and not anymore because every time you updated the Steam Deck, it would not boot correctly and I had to go into the BIOS every single time. And I'm pretty sure I removed that. Alright, Steam Deck, you can do it. There we go. Okay, it didn't give me the verifying installation thing. Okay. It says we're at 93%. 93% battery. What we got this time? I'm not seeing display on here. Let me hit the... Maybe it won't actually do it until I power on. What the fuck just fell over? Oh, god damn it. Oh. Alright, the weird portable monitor that I'm using. Are we getting signal from the Steam Deck? No signal. What? Why? Why now? Oh my god. Steam Deck, you're killing me here. I can't even. Why you do this? No, it's not the capture card. It's I think it's the USB-C video output thing that I'm using for my Steam Deck. Like the latest firmware is causing it to just not work now or something. I wonder if there's cloud saves for this. I'd hope so, since the saves are probably like a kilobyte. Whoop. No, that's the monitor going to power saving. Fucking hell, dude. Why? Why you do this to me, Steam Deck? Oh, god damn it. Okay, maybe there's some weird setting in Steam Deck that got changed for external displays. External display safe mode. Okay, let's turn that on and see if that... I haven't had to use this setting before because this has just worked before. And we're still not getting any signal. Like this was working and then it just stopped working. In the what? Bro. I don't even know what to say. Like, oh, we were just literally playing the game and then it just decided to not work anymore. And we're literally at the end of the game. Alright, I'm changing settings on my HDMI splitter thing. Bro, I can't even. Alright, let me pull up Steam on this laptop. Whoa, 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 hold on, we got it. We got signal. Okay. Alright, hold on. Hold on. Now signal is working. Alright. Are we getting signal on here, more importantly? Yes, and that mostly looks correct? Okay. Alright, hold on. Alright, now I have to grab the thing that fell down because of my janky setup here for the power brick for everything. Okay, I need to put this here. This goes like that. And I can put this back up here. Hopefully the power doesn't get pulled out. Okay. Okay. I think we're back in there. Are we getting audio? Okay. Yes, we're getting audio. Okay. Alright, what about here? Are we going to still get signal when the game boots? Even better question. Yes, okay. Alright. Well, that was great. Very cool. Isn't streaming fun, you guys? Streaming PC games from a Linux machine with dodgy hardware. Alright, what was I even doing? Oh. Okay, so it wouldn't let me blow the duck whistle, even though that would very much distract Corvus. So it feels like I need to... Maybe I need to throw something into that that doorway to the right. Can I get a rock? You pick up a plain rock from the floor. Okay. So we got a rock from the floor. Throw rock in door. You throw the plain rock down the passage. What was that? Someone coming from the middle passage. I thought I heard something too. I'll take a look. Corvus, what have you done, you oaf? Either Corvus is inaudible behind the pile of rubble or unable to reply. Well, it looked pretty clearly like he got crushed under that rubble. Eek, I didn't expect that to happen. I just wanted to create a distraction. Okay. Corvus? Let's see if I can free Mr. Richards while Nessa's preoccupied. 2 against 1 sounds like better odds. Maybe we can turn the tables on her until Jack arrives with help. You'd better be digging as hard as I am, Corvus. You always mess things up. Nessa continues to paw ineffectually through the rubble while chastising Corvus. Okay, so let's make a save here. So I don't know if there was a different way to handle that part. But just based off of my adventure gamer intuition, it feels like that's probably the only solution here for getting rid of Corvus. So let's go untie. Whoa, Nancy! What are you doing here? You just don't know when to quit, do you? When I get over there, you'll wish you never meddled. All right, we're gonna fight this bitch. Fight Nessa. Get lantern. Stop! Come any closer and I'll throw this lantern over the edge. You need a light just as much as we do. No one can leave this cavern without it. Jack will be along shortly. It's over, Nessa. You can try getting away, but my dear little brother certainly can't. Don't come any closer. Stay where you are. You're trying to tell me what to do? How dare you? Why did you ever set foot in Crimson? Why? If it hadn't been for you... Nessa is so overwrought she can barely speak. Nessa stamps her foot angrily. You're ruining everything! Uh-oh, she's causing a cave-in just by stomping. All of my planning, all that I've done, undone by you? You meddlesome slip of a girl. Nessa, be careful. Don't tell me what to do. How dare you? Nessa pulls a knife out of her skirt pocket. Uh-oh. You'll never leave here alive. Watch out! I said, don't tell me what to do. Oh no! The whole mine gives a great shudder and part of the floor gives way. Nancy! Nessa clings desperately to the edge of a now yawning chasm, which has already swallowed her knife. Ah! Do I have any agency here? Nessa? You and Evan both bumbling around, spoiling carefully constructed plans. Ah, Nessa. A note has been added to your notebook. Do you hear me? Do you think you've won? Dumb luck is all it is. You don't need your inventory right now. Alright. You wouldn't hurt a fly. Oh, come on. This is the perfect time. I won't stop until Crimson is a hole in the ground and I'm as wealthy as a sultan. Give brooch. To Nessa. This is not a good time to attempt that. Worse than useless, aimless. You're vile and dull and will never amount to anything. Ask about Evan. Nessa doesn't appear amenable to questioning at this juncture. Do you hear me? Do you think you've won? Dumb luck is all it is. You wretched girl, always ruining everything. Is she gonna fall eventually? Like, I'm just waiting her out here. Uh-huh. Alright, help up Nessa. Grab hand. Oh, Nessa, do be quiet for once. Well done. So we can't just kill her, apparently. Maple's too nice, I guess. Nessa gasps for breath, recovering from her near-death experience. You're stronger than you look. Thanks? I wonder if I could safely secure Nessa. I need to do something before I start standing up, or else she might run off. Use wire on Nessa. Tie Nessa with wire. The huge reel of wire is far too cumbersome to use in this moment. You need something smaller and faster to deploy. Uh-oh, I'm not sure if I have what I need to do this. Maybe I could have taken something from the lodge before leaving. Where's some tape? Tie Nessa with tape. Push Nessa off cliff. Push Nessa. What else we got? There's some hair. I don't know, this wire seems pretty useful for this purpose, but okay. Alright, stand up. You make a move to get up, but Nessa beats you to it. Your legs are still a bit shaky. As Nessa steps over you, she glances over at you and mutters something. You can't discern what she says. Uh-oh. I'm not waiting around for your friends to get here. I'm taking this lantern and I'm leaving. Good. Never come back. Oof. You start moving to follow Nessa, but Mr. Richards calls out to you. Let her go, Nancy. Don't leave me here alone. Okay, I won't. Nancy, you could have ended things a minute ago. Just let her fall. Eek, do you think that cave-in got her? It doesn't matter, we're safe for now. Right. Aren't they in just as much danger from a cave-in as she is? You managed to untie Mr. Richards now that you have all the time in the world. Well, besides the cave-ins. Thanks, Nancy. You and Mr. Richards wait quietly in the cavern. You're too spent to think of anything much to say. The only light now is the fire, and you have no way to bring it along with you. She has a lamp! There isn't anything here to fashion an improvised torch either. She has a lamp in her inventory. All you can do is wait and hope. Sometimes the cavern shakes and quakes, and you wonder if you'll die without even knowing it. Eventually, you hear voices and footfalls. Like, they're both wearing clothes that can burn. There's some logs right over there. Like, we're in here, help. Nancy, is that you? Mr. Richards. Ranger Murdoch. Nancy. Oh, Corvus is trapped behind that rubble in the middle passageway. We should probably get him out. Working together, you eventually clear the rubble and free Corvus. He's a bit worse for wear, but has only minor injuries. Ranger Murdoch cuffs Corvus just in case. Did you see Nessa leaving or pinned under rubble? No, not at all. I didn't hear anything either. It could be that she's trapped somewhere in the mine. There's no way of knowing. Or she could have gotten away. You can't think which you prefer, actually. Let's get out of here. Good idea. So there's also rope. You could probably tie some rope around a log, and that would probably make a decent torch too, right? Ranger Murdoch leads the way out of the mine. You feel incredibly relieved to be out of the mine. It feels like a great weight has been lifted off your shoulders. The automobile is parked down the hill, and there are more rangers waiting for us at the train station. How did everyone get here so quickly? Well, it wasn't quick, actually. I'm not actually a forest ranger. I'm a member of the Northwest Mounted Police. We've been on the trail of a German spy and saboteur who is rumored to be in this area. We believe he's responsible for the bombing of the bridge west of Crimson. Albert Respa, I mean Carl L. A man known to us as Carl Leffler. He revealed him, Nancy. Well done. Not only that, you tipped us off to what his next target would be. So I have a theory that if you didn't figure out who Carl Leffler was, who Albert Respa, the mineralogist, was, that at the end of the bad ending, you probably get shot in bed, just like what happened at the end, the bad ending of Lorabo 2, the Dagger of Omnara. That's my suspicion, because in the bad end that I got in the last stream, she got into bed but didn't get shot. So I suspect there's probably an even worse ending than the one that I got in part 8. The Sulaks. Right again. As you know, Canada declared war on Germany a few weeks ago. It appears operatives directed by the German Foreign Office have undertaken a campaign here in Canada to delay military aid to Europe by targeting transportation links such as railways, bridges, and canals. We strongly suspect that Carl L., a man known as Carl Leffler, is one of those operatives. He's been apprehended at the Sulaks while setting up explosive charges. And thanks to your impeccable detective work, Mr. Leffler will surely be brought to justice. Gee! Let's go. So that's pretty much identical to the ending that I got last time. Except now we have 2 extra alive people in this scene, even though they didn't say anything. Alright, I have a feeling this scene probably plays out exactly the same as well. Except Corvus is present in this scene now. Alright, train station's a flurry of activity. Rangers are milling all around, consulting with each other in whispered conversations. Inside you can hear the non-stop whir and tick of the telegraph machine. The ranger in charge looks up and acknowledges Ranger Murdoch with a nod. Just the man I wanted to see. Thanks to the intelligence you provided, we were able to alert authorities at Sault Ste. Marie about the impending sabotage attempt at the Sulaks. They were ready and waiting and caught the man red-handed with a luggage full of dynamite and blasting caps, not to mention a 9mm Luger in the glove box. Imagine his surprise when they called him by his real name, Carl Leffler, aka Albert Respa, a German spy and saboteur. I would have loved to have seen the look on his face. All in all, some mighty fine work, Ranger Murdoch. A crisis has been averted. As much as I'd like to take credit for it, Nancy Maple here is the one you ought to be thanking. She single-handedly figured it all out. All I did was pass along the information. Well then, my thanks to you, Nancy Maple. You're a Canadian hero. Thanks. Though I'll warn you now, you might be an unsung hero at that. I have the feeling the Canadian government wouldn't want to reveal just how vulnerable we were tonight. It could undermine the public's confidence at a crucial turning point for our country. Oh, I don't mind at all, as long as things worked out for the best. They did, Nancy, truly. Thank you for your service. Now, what have you got here? We've just come from the old abandoned garnet mine. Mr. Richards here was kidnapped by his sister, but these folks were able to rescue him. Fortunately, we managed to stop things from going too far, but the sister, Nessa Krabby, is missing. We did arrest her accomplice, Mr. Corvus Shaw. I'm confident we'll apprehend Mrs. Krabby. The charges against her are serious. We'll use every resource at our disposal. Roger. A busy night. Yes, indeed. Please dispatch some crime scene investigators to the lodge so we can build a strong case. Roger that. I'm heading back to Tirana now. I need to meet with some higher-ups immediately. The Northwest Mounted Police has commandeered a train back to the city. I've been told you call Tirana home, Miss Maple. Will you join me? I'm exhausted. I don't think I'm up for more traveling tonight. I'm not ready to leave Crimson just yet. Suit yourself. I'll need to take your statement for the report, but that can wait a day or two. Thank you. I'll need a bit of time to get my thoughts in order. Of course, there's going to be a ton of paperwork to do for this whole caper. I'll be trapped behind a desk for weeks. Do you send word when you'll be returning? I'll pick you up from Union Station and escort you straight to the police station. Will do. Thanks, Ranger Murdoch. Alright, so that's pretty much identical to the ending that I got earlier. Nathan drives you, Jack, and Evan back to the lodge. Margot's death feels like it happened weeks ago. And your arrival in Crimson feels like it happened months ago. And you feel like years ago when you spoke to your boss, Professor Plummer. Ah, my boss, my fieldwork. What am I going to tell him? Despite the excitement of the evening, you find yourself nodding off, only to be jolted awake when Nathan's automobile hits an uneven stretch of road. Eventually, not even the bumpy road can rouse you. Nancy, you awake? We're back. Zzz. Once Jack has roused you from your deep slumber, you make your way upstairs as quietly as possible, lest you wake Kimi. My goodness, what a night. I've never been so exhausted. Let's see. Is this where it gives me the sleep prompt? I can't remember. You climb into bed and are eager to fall asleep. Maybe it's on the train where we get the sleep prompt. But as your gaze falls upon the ransacked curio cabinet, you realize there are a few things you might want to bring up with the other inhabitants at the lodge tomorrow morning. I better make some new notes on fresh paper to remind myself. Or I could just decide to go to sleep if I wish. Okay, so this is where I selected go to sleep last time. Did Margot have an accomplice in the ruby brooch theft? I'm pretty sure it was Jack. This was a yes or no question. Yes. Yes, I suspect someone helped Margot hide the ruby brooch effectively. Who was the accomplice for the ruby brooch theft? Jack. I'm quite sure I'm right about that. Jack and Margot were thick as thieves, literally. I found the brooch in Margot's walk-in closet pinned under her hat. After Nessa and Corvus had already thoroughly searched there, including the hats. Margot was already dead by then. Jack must have hidden the brooch there after Nessa and Corvus were finished searching that room. I should ask him about that tomorrow morning. Now, about the curio cabinet. I don't even know what was stolen from the curio cabinet. Yeah, so that I screwed up earlier in the game. Maybe I should have been a bit more observant. Who was the imposter at Crimson Lodge? That was Albert, I guess, because that was the German spy. Albert. Right, his geology and mineralogy books look brand new because he never once consulted them. They were part of his disguise. That explains why he was examining those glacial erratic. He had no idea that it wouldn't be a good indicator of the geology in the area. What was Kimi's true goal? Birds? Birds. After everything I've witnessed, I'm pretty certain that Kimi is just a keen bird watcher who probably had the worst vacation of her life. Alright, it gave me the thing, so that's probably right. Everything and everything can look suspicious if you're looking for suspicious activity. Were Evan Richards and Nathan Cardinal friends or enemies? Well, Evan agreed to give Nathan the lodge and the land around it when he died. So you wouldn't do that for an enemy, right? So I'm gonna say they were friends. Their conversation in the conservatory indicates that they are similarly aligned when it comes to the fate of the lodge and lands. They also met up in the study after that first dinner. It was hard to tell if they were friendly then. But I did see them shake hands. They respect each other. And Nathan helped me and Jack rescue Mr. Richards tonight. He risked losing his Indian status by revealing himself to Ranger Murdoch after having snuck off the reservation. He's a true friend. Mr. Richards is lucky to have him. What were Jack and Nathan trying to conceal? Diamonds. It is possible after all, but so far that's only a hunch based off of the samples I've gathered. I'll need to verify my hypothesis when I get back to the museum. Where did Jack conceal the suspected diamonds? Trying to think. So I got the diamonds from the river sample. So maybe he either threw them in the river. So I'm thinking back to the very start of the game. This all started because a fisherman fished up a fish that had a diamond inside of it. So a possibility is they were taking fish and then just putting diamonds into the fish, force feeding diamonds into fish, or they were throwing diamonds into the river, and then the fish were just eating them, and they eventually made their way downstream to the fishermen who would catch them and go, oh shit, these fish have diamonds in them. So I'm gonna say the river. I may have a theory about that, but no proof. Okay, sure. Were Margot and Jack having an affair? I'm gonna say yes. I suspect Margot and Jack were having an affair. I heard them in Margot's boudoir the first night I was at the lodge. It sounded like they were up to something suggestive. Mr. Richards has been through enough already. I don't need to dig into any of that. It's none of my business. Well then, why bring it up? Okay. What item suggests Nessa came to the lodge intending to threaten or harm Evan? So she had a knife with her. There's also the almonds, because I suspect that Evan has a deathly allergy to almonds, or I guess tree nuts in general. Maybe, I don't know. I never asked Evan about that. But I'm gonna say the knife? Let's say knife. That doesn't make much sense. Maybe I should try again. Alright, almonds? She had a knife with her, though. Like... Alright. I have a feeling the Jordan almonds figure into this somehow, but why? No matter, I can't have all the answers. You're exhausted and decide to go to sleep instead of pondering these questions. I don't know. If I intended to harm somebody, I would bring a knife, right? And that's what she brought. Some sort of weapon, and not like, I'm gonna bring some almonds with me. Like, okay. You wake up the next morning feeling refreshed and ravenous. As you make your way down the upstairs hallway, you begin to smell the inviting aromas of coffee and bacon. You enter the kitchen and find the other inhabitants gathered around the table, digging into a hearty breakfast. You join in. Morning light is streaming through the small window, causing motes of dust to sparkle and dance in the light. Mr. Richards is slumped in front of his plate, eyes downcast. Jack, you helped Margot steal Nessa's ruby brooch, didn't you? I found your fingerprint on it. Well, I didn't help her steal it. I helped her hide it. I think we were all sick of Nessa's shenanigans. How'd you know? I found Nessa's brooch in Margot's walk-in closet, pinned under one of her hats. But that was after Corvus had thoroughly examined those hats. So someone moved the brooch after Margot died. You were close with Margot. She trusted you with her secrets. Yeah, it was me. I hid the brooch up there in the closet after Nessa and Corvus had ransacked it after Margot died. I figured it was the last place they'd check if they ever came back to the lodge to take another look. I would have kept it on me, except we were headed to the mine last night to go find Mr. Richards. Who knows what could have happened. I didn't want to get caught with the brooch and charged with theft. We'd planned to sell the brooch to help pay for the lodge's upkeep. It ain't cheap. Nessa was trying to lay claim to the whole place, but she never lifted a finger to take care of it, nor sent a dime. I actually think that's a pretty good idea. What do you think, Mr. Richards? Sounds good to me. That would be a nice thing for Nessa to indirectly do. She certainly couldn't intentionally do anything good for anyone else. You hand the ruby brooch over to Jack. Thanks, Nancy. Maybe I can get a new mop. Her secrets. Did you hear us in her boudoir that first night? You flushed a bit. Yes, it did. That must have sounded odd, but we were just friends, I swear. Oh, you mean Margot's Salvarsan treatments? Salvarsan treatments. What the hell is that? You knew about that? Sure did. Jack helped her with that every night. I couldn't. Too squeamish. The injections were very painful for her. I couldn't stand to do them. Well, that makes me feel better about that. Alright. Salvarsan. Like, that. Huh. Okay. Margot knew Nessa and Corvus could rummage through her things. Her vanity has a lock, but she suspected that it wasn't secure. In fact, she suspected it had been tampered with already. Okay, so that must be what that heart-shaped key is for. I kept the brooch in my pocket for a bit, but when we were fixing to head to the garnet mine, I didn't want to bring it with me. So I nipped upstairs to her giant closet and pinned it to the underside of one of her hats up on one of those mannequin heads. I figured should Nessa and Corvus return to the lodge, the last place they'd look is somewhere they'd already searched. Alright, he already told us this, but okay. Kimi, I'm sorry that your birding trip was full of so much drama and tension, but I'm very glad I got to meet you. Thanks so much, Nancy. Yeah, it's very kind of you. Yes, this was one of the strangest trips I've ever taken. So much unpleasantness and tragedy. But I don't regret coming here. Crimson is a beautiful place. Margot was very kind. Jack and Nathan really helped me feel at home here, despite everything. And you, Mr. Richards? Yeah? I can see why you love Crimson so much. I love it too. Oh, that's real nice. Thanks, Kimi. And Nancy, I'm very glad I got to meet you too. You're one of a kind, brave and clever. No matter what happens, I'm sure you'll make your dreams come true. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I'll try my best. Nathan, I have to know. Yes? I have to know. Are there diamonds here in Crimson? Mr. Richards, Nathan, and Jack exchanged meaningful looks. I think you and Jack were picking alluvial diamonds out of the riverbank when I saw the two of you last night. I collected a sample from that area. Nancy, there are diamonds in Crimson. We have to check the riverbanks regularly for ones that come down the river. Over time, we've managed to extract most of the gems that are in the ground, but soil erosion also reveals them. Every so often, we gotta go looking for more that have appeared. They're easiest to see by moonlight. Alright. Evan used to help us. In fact, he used to do it all by himself. Yeah, but I wore my back down, so it's now up to Jack and Nat. Unfortunately for us, not many people were around. It was a difficult secret to keep, even then. Yeah, until that fish swallowed that whopper of a diamond, and that lucky duck fisherman caught it. Nothing but trouble that was. My goodness, I see. Nancy, we know that your field work is very important to you, and we certainly can't prevent you from divulging anything you may have discovered here. We can only ask you to think about what that news would mean for Crimson. We like it how it is now. I do too. Me too, and so did Margot. What'll happen now? That'll partially depend on you, Nancy. Uh-oh. So last time in the other ending, I said that there weren't diamonds in Crimson to my boss. We'll see what I decide this time. You all pile into Nathan's automobile except for Mr. Richards, as there isn't enough room in the four-seater. You sense he'd like some time alone anyways. He gives you and Kimi a nod and then turns away. As the automobile trundles away from the lodge, you crane your neck and take one last look. I'm really gonna miss this place in spite of everything. You turn and face forward. The rattling of the rough road makes it hard to think. The only coherent thought you manage to have is, what will you tell your boss? And what could that mean for your future? Thank goodness for the bridge has been repaired enough to allow trains to cross it again. Repaired enough? You are traveling late, Nancy. I wouldn't be too concerned. Okay, Nancy, the train's gonna leave soon. Be well. Oh, what about you, Kimi? I've talked it over with Evan, Jack, and Nathan. I think I'll stay on for a bit. It's been so tense here. I want to relax, enjoy the birds, and the fall migration is starting in a few weeks, and the leaves will be changing color. I promised Jack that I'll help with the lodge chores. I'll earn my keep. That's wonderful news. I wish I could stay longer too, but I gotta get back to my job in the city. Good luck, Nancy. I'm gonna miss you. I'll miss you too, Kimi. Be well. I'll miss all of you. Thanks for letting me stay with you, and please thank Mr. Richards too. We'll let him know. You made a pretty tough step, Nancy. Jack's been telling me how brave you were down in the mine. We're all grateful for what you've done here. Goodbye, Nancy. Yeah, bye, Nancy. Now go on. The train's not gonna wait forever. All right. Okay. So now is the point, I think, where it asks me a bunch of questions again. And I think I just told it to go to sleep or pass or something. You stare out the train window. It's a clear, cool morning. As crisp and refreshing as it is this far north, you brace yourself for the muggy summer heat down by Tirana. Your mind is buzzing with all that's transpired over the last few days. It feels like you're returning home from a long voyage. But you can't help but wonder, did you miss anything? Did you leave any loose ends? I clearly did. Would you like to be privy to some helpful, introspective thoughts, yes or no? So I said no last time. Let's get yes this time. So this is probably where the game tells you everything that you missed. Because I know in the first Laura Bow game, the Colonel's Bequest, at the end of that game, before it gave you the final score, or during the final score, I think, it basically had a bunch of stuff that popped up one after another of like, here's what you missed, here's another thing you missed, here's another thing. And some things are very specific and some things are pretty vague. So I'm wondering if that's the same case here. You ponder the thoughts you had the previous night before bed. If I'd confronted Jack with hard evidence, I might have gotten a confession. Confession about what? The stealing the brooch? Okay. What was stolen from the curio cabinet? I'd wish I'd taken a look before the theft. So yeah, that I missed, for sure. Albert was an imposter, no question about it. He was definitely not an expert mineralogist. Okay. So there might have been more I could have done with Albert, it sounds like. Alright. The glacial erratic boulder was not mineralogically relevant to this region. He had no idea. Albert's actions certainly didn't help his mineralogist charade. What about his words? Was there any written proof that he wasn't an expert mineralogist? I'm pretty sure that Nathan was Mr. Richards' friend. But did I miss any important details of his actions? Jack and Nathan were doing something on the riverbank by the bridge. They literally told her what they were doing at the breakfast table. But alright. Perhaps if I approached that situation from a different direction, I could have heard their conversation. Well, so the game is implying that I screwed that up myself, but like, how was I supposed to know there was a scene? So I went from left to right and did the screen transition that way, and there's no indication that there was an NPCs or an event on the next screen over. How was I supposed to know that without being lucky, I guess, or not save scumming? Like, I don't know. I guess that logically this is the same logic that would have happened in late 80s, 90s adventure games, but I don't like it that it's put as like, oh, the player screwed this up, and it's like, how was I supposed to know? Like, what about the time Jack and Nathan met up in the carriage house? So that one, I tried to listen at the door for that one, and it wouldn't let me. So I opened the door, and then that ended their conversation. So I don't know what I could have done differently there. Could there have been a way to listen to them discuss things? Could I have hidden somewhere? So I think that's another one where you had to have known ahead of time and like go in to the upper part of the carriage house in that hay loft and then listen from there. But again, it's one of those things where you have to know ahead of time to do that. What if Nathan was trying to preserve and protect the lodge and lands? He might have sought out Albert's help. I should have kept my eyes and ears open for that circumstance. Jack and Nathan were trying to conceal something. Do I have any promising theories about that? Diamonds. They told you. They're concealing diamonds. If I was able to listen to their conversation by the bridge, maybe I would have learned more. Well, there's nothing I could have done about that. Do I really think Margot and Jack were having an affair? He told us they weren't, so no. What could they have been doing in the boudoir late that night? Apparently injections of something. I found a small silver key in Margot's pocket. I wonder what it unlocks. I never found out. Yeah, that one was my bad. I forgot that existed. Whoops. Maybe it will open something she was keen to conceal. Did Nessa come to the lodge intending to harm or threaten her brother? That could make a big difference in determining the severity of her crimes. Did Nessa bring anything with her that could have harmed her brother? Yeah, a knife. She brought a knife, and also apparently almonds. I have a feeling Corvus' satchel contains important information that I've overlooked. I'm pretty sure I looked at the satchel. I guess not. I have a gut feeling those Jordan almonds are somehow a vital element, but how? I never did figure out was stolen from the curio cabinet. If only I'd taken a closer look before the theft. It feels like we're repeating. Like I think she said this multiple times. I can't think of much else, actually. You turn your attention towards your impending interview with Ranger Murdoch. As for Margot's death, Ranger Murdoch could have been helpful. I could have told him about my investigation into Margot's death. Maybe Ranger Murdoch could help me figure out Margot's illness. I suspect Margot had been poisoned. Some kind of sample from Margot could be analyzed to verify that. Maybe some hair? I think hair is usually checked for poison. I have Margot's glass. Could it have helped me to learn how she might have gotten poisoned? After a good deal of mulling over, you conclude... I think that's all. Okay. But I'm pretty sure it was the turpentine cyanide stuff did it. You fall quickly into deep, dreamless sleep. You don't awaken until the train pulls into Union Station. Ranger Murdoch meets you at Union Station as arranged. Ranger Murdoch! Hello, Nancy. It's good to see you again. Would you like me to drive you home to rest? No thanks. I'm eager to have my interview. Let's go! Right, follow me. Old Union. Is that still a modern station? You look over at the wanted posters on the bulletin board and see a familiar face. The face has familiar features, but the expression gives you pause. It's unmistakably Margot, but she looks scared and angry, and her name is different too. The Margot you knew was at peace, kind, and caring. You feel fortunate to have met her when you did. The poster lists her offenses as assault, theft, racketeering, public nuisance. Nancy? Sorry, just lost in thought. Ah, yes, that person's been on the most wanted list for a few years now. Skagway was a near lawless place. Sometimes who the criminals were was a matter of public opinion. Oh, nice. And sometimes, if you didn't make friends with the right people, you could get stuck with all sorts of trumped-up charges. Does she look familiar to you? No, I don't recognize her. Very well, let's begin. Suddenly, the door bursts open to reveal your boss, Professor Plummer. Nancy, there you are. Welcome back. I heard the train had come in. Sir, we're in the middle of a confidential interview. My apologies, I won't be a moment. Nancy, what did you find? Are there diamonds in crimson? I must know. Yes or no? A note has been added to your notebook. Can I, save here? Alright. So I said no last time. And the ending that we got was like, everything's peaceful, the lodge is passed to Nathan, and then eventually the area is reclaimed by wilderness, and everybody's happy. Kimi watches birds until the end of time, and all that. So I'm going to say this time, yes, there are diamonds in crimson. Yes, Professor Plummer, at least I strongly believe there are diamonds in crimson. I obtained some samples that will need further analysis to verify. Dear girl, give them to me and I'll take them to the museum immediately. You hand all your samples over to the professor, whose eyes light up like a kid at Christmas. Now, Professor, I've witnessed you receiving those samples from Miss Maple here. I'm sure I don't need to be concerned that her name will be forgotten in the excitement. It was Nancy's hard work and her samples, and if these should indeed be diamonds, her credit, yes? Professor Plummer bristles. Why, naturally, I'd be appalled that you might suggest otherwise. Good. Good evening, Professor. Good evening, Officer. And good evening, Nancy. I can hardly contain myself. We'll talk soon. Bye, Professor. Okay, now let's really begin. Any information you provide will be kept strictly confidential, of course. Thank you, I appreciate it. Nessa Krabby is wanted in connection with Evan Richards' kidnapping and attempted fraud. According to Mr. Richards, he was assaulted at the jetty, but it was dark out and he was rather inebriated. Do you have any evidence connecting Nessa to the scene at the jetty? Yes or no? Can I save here too? Okay. Interview 2. I'm gonna say yes. So at the jetty, there were footprints, I think. And I believe there's also a fingerprint on the bottle that was used to strike Evan, I think. So I'm gonna say yes. Yes, I do. What evidence did you find? If there are multiple points to make, we'll discuss them separately. One-word answers will suffice. Shoe print. Actually, I only found Corvus size 14 shoe print. Actually. Okay. Nessa didn't happen to step on the spilled whiskey. Fingerprint. I found Nessa's fingerprint on a shattered crystal decanter at the jetty. It was made of thick glass, and it would have broken from being tipped over or dropped from carrying height. I think Nessa had a confrontation with Evan on the jetty, during which she forcefully threw the decanter down, causing it to break. Well done, Nancy. Our investigators found that broken decanter and came to a similar conclusion. Did you find anything in areas besides the jetty that can connect Nessa to Evan's kidnapping, yes or no? Yes. Yes, I do. What evidence did you find? One word. So we found some hair. I recovered these hairs from the woods north of the jetty. I'm pretty confident they belong to Nessa. You hand the long gray-brown hairs over to Ranger Murdoch. Wow, our investigators didn't find any hairs. I'll send someone over to take another look. Well, that's because Nancy took all the hair. The bulbs of these hairs are intact. That means they need to be ripped from the scalp with some force. That definitely implies she was part of a struggle in that area. I'm going to have to keep those hairs, Nancy. Of course. Do you have anything else that you can share that will connect Nessa to Evan's kidnapping? Yes or no? Yes. Yes, I do. Footprints. I found Nessa's shoe prints in the wooded area near the jetty. How do you know that the shoe prints belong to Nessa? I learned the shoe sizes of everyone at the lodge. She's the only one who wears that size and style of shoe. That's some good detective work. I tracked Nessa's shoe prints into the smokehouse. I think that's where she and Corvus temporarily detained Evan until they were ready to take him to the garnet mine. You have anything else to share that could connect Nessa to Evan's kidnapping in areas other than the jetty? Yes or no? I'm going to say yes. And almonds. I found these Jordan almond fragments on the table in the smokehouse. I managed to recover Nessa's fingerprint from one of the candied shells. This is fantastic, Nancy. You placed Nessa in that smokehouse. May I have those? Of course. You give the Jordan almond fragments to Ranger Murdoch. I think that's all the information I have about Nessa and the areas around the jetty. Okay? Okay, let's move on. You believe Mr. Richards is being held in the lodge's smokehouse before being moved to the garnet mine. Did you find any evidence to support our theory regarding his unlawful confinement? Yes or no? Yes. Yes, I do. What evidence did you find? So there was the drawing. So underneath the table, there was a drawing made of jam that was a circle and then had a smaller circle in the middle of it that was filled in. So maybe drawing will work. Not sure if that's relevant in this instance. Yes. Jam about cookie? Cookie. Yes. Painting? Jam. Yes. Wall? I fingerprint? I don't know what else I would say for the drawing under the table. Drawing under table. Yes. Table? Fingerprint cookie. You don't have that, right? What? Okay, how about... I guess it's a no then. No, I'm afraid not. Okay, moving on. How did you figure out that Mr. Richards was taken to the garden mine? If you're not sure, you could just say no or pass. How did I know he was taken to the garden mine? Was it the telegram? Maybe? Telegram? No. Anything else you saw or heard that helped you deduce that Mr. Richards is taken to the garnet mine? One word answer will suffice. God, this is like a week ago that I did the part for this. Hey, thank you, Son Goku. I tried. I was nearly 300 pounds a year and a half ago, and now I'm about 170. So, yeah, I lost a lot of weight. So if it wasn't the telegram... Maybe it was the car? Car? No. Nessa? Corvus? Almonds? Shit. What was it? Maybe Nathan was the one who did? Well, if I can't remember, then it is what it is, I guess. Because, like, the impetus to... I'm just thinking of everything that led up to eventually getting in the car and going to... yeah, it's definitely butts. Definitely butts involved. Because, like, we were investigating the smokehouse. I was eventually let into the smokehouse by Nathan to look around. We found the drawing underneath the table. And then went back into the house to report my findings to Jack and Nathan. And then there was some sort of... Maybe it was the will? No, not the will. Jack? Nathan? Evans? Rash? Was it a note in the trash? No. Letter? I don't think it's something I have on me. The map? But this doesn't help me. Damn. Yeah, I can't remember what the specific reasoning was. I'm pretty sure it was Jack that suggested that they're going there. But why though? I know, right? Like I'm pretty sure I could look at these notes too. Broken tree branch, Nessa's fingerprint, shoe prints. Smokehouse, suit locks. Jack's fingerprint, ruby brooch. Gain entrance to the mine. So the brooch? About the blasting caps? Dynamite? Alright, I don't fucking know. No, I don't. No, I don't know. No, I'm afraid not. Okay, moving on. Mr. Richards told us that Nessa was attempting to intimidate him into signing a forged copy of his own will. Do you have any knowledge that might back up his claim? Yes or no? Well, we heard and saw her do it, so yes. Yes, I do. Interesting. What did you learn? One word answers will suffice. Will. Do you have any other knowledge that might back up Evan's claim that Nessa's trying to intimidate him? Yes or no? Yes. What'd you learn? Margot? Yes. Almonds. That's okay, Nancy. I appreciate your efforts. Let's move on. He's like, fuck this. She doesn't actually know. Let's move on to Corvus Shaw's role in Mr. Richards' kidnapping. Do you have any evidence that connect Corvus to these crimes? Yes or no? Yes. Yes, I do. What evidence did you find? State one article at a time. Shoe prints. I found Corvus' shoe prints on the jetty in the woods leading away from the jetty and leading into the smokehouse. The shoe prints on the jetty must have been formed when he stepped into the spilt whiskey and they were still wet. That suggests to me that he was either present during the abduction of Mr. Richards or soon after. Considering the scuff marks I saw on the jetty, Mr. Richards was dragged away with some force. I doubt Nessa, an elderly lady, could have dragged her brother away with that amount of force. That's terrific work, Nancy. Our investigators didn't see any shoe prints on the jetty. They must have dried up before we got there. But now that we know they're there, perhaps some forensic processes will help reveal them. I think Corvus's movements during that time are pretty clear. Very thorough of you. Every bit helps. Do you have anything else to share that could help connect Corvus to the crimes perpetrated on Mr. Richards? Please continue or say no, and I'll ask you another question. Fingerprints, maybe? The button. Button. Found this metal button, which I recovered from outside the smokehouse. I observed Corvus wearing a striped vest with this exact type of button that very same night. If you examine Corvus' clothing, I'm sure you'll find that one of the buttons is missing from one of his vests. We did indeed make note of a missing button, and now we know what happened to it. This is a very good piece of evidence, Nancy. May I have it? Of course. I think that's all the information I have connecting Corvus to the crimes against Mr. Richards. Okay, let's move on. What about any lesser crimes? We suspect Corvus was brought to the lodge by Nessa to commit fraud. Do you know anything that could help us build that case, yes or no? Yes. What proof do you have that Corvus intended on engaging in fraud? One-word answers will suffice. There's a bunch of papers in the trash. So trash? Not sure that's relevant. Do you have anything else to build a case? Fraud, yes or no? Yes. Telegraph? Yes. Will. I really do think that Corvus was engaged in fraud, but I don't have any actual proof. Sorry, Ranger Murdoch, I don't think I have anything to contribute to that line of questioning. Okay, let's move on. And what about Carl Leffler, aka Albert Respa? What can you tell me about him? Rangers apprehended him in the middle of his sabotage attempt on the Sioux Locks, so that's an open and shut case. But we suspect this man is involved in other illegal acts. Do you think you can attribute other criminal activities to him? Yes or no? So, he was a jerk to us on the train. That's not a crime, though. We know he was impersonating a mineralogist. Also not a crime. He ate a lot of cookies. Also not a crime. I don't think I can pin the murder of Margot on him. I don't think he assaulted anyone that I can think of. So he had the bullet, and he had the blasting caps, and the dynamite. But I can't think of anything else that he did or might have done that would count. So I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. No, I'm afraid not. Okay, moving on. I think that just about wraps everything up, Nancy. Thanks for your time, Nancy. If you remember anything else, please let me know. Uh-oh, I get the feeling I wasn't very helpful. Maybe I could have been more observant. Okay. Of course, will do. Good night, Nancy. Good night. Well, shit. You head home after completing your interview with Ranger Murdoch and immediately set to work on your field report of Crimson. Professor Plummer is amazed at your exciting discovery. He tells you that Crimson Diamonds will become a national sensation, and so will you. Your field report is published in the Royal Canadian Museum and eventually endorsed by the Geological Survey of Canada. Professor Plummer no longer expects you to be a mere clerk. You never become acquainted with the filing system. Alright, so that's different from the other one. You're far too busy helping to prepare the museum's upcoming Crimson Diamonds exhibit. You find yourself missing the fresh air, the roaring waterfalls, and rushing rivers of Crimson. You wonder if you'll ever hear about how things are going up there. Until one day. There you are, Nancy. I thought today's newspaper might be of interest to you. You start reading the newspaper. The main article prominently features a photograph of an extensive pit mining operation. The caption reads, "Here once stood dusty and deserted Crimson Lodge, now a lucrative site of precious gems." Uh-oh. Your heart skips a beat when you see your own face staring back at you with the caption, "Nancy Maple, newly minted Queen of Diamonds." A tiny article buried deep in the newspaper briefly mentions the regrettable destruction of a cormorant colony in Crimson, but such is the price of progress. Uh-oh. There's no mention at all of Nessa or Corvus. It seems that with all the excitement about Crimson Diamonds, kidnapping and fraud, and the possible suspicious death of a woman aren't enough to make the news. I know, those birds were coming right at him. They had to move them. There's no mention at all about Carl's attempted sabotage at the Sioux Locks, only that there will be minor delays due to routine maintenance. They probably want to make sure there aren't any more explosive devices in and around the locks. Had Albert succeeded? You shudder to think of it. Interesting. So the newspaper last time was mugshots of Corvus and Nessa. Oh wait, we need you nearby for interviews and such. There's a car waiting to take you to a fancy hotel. Oh, what about my things? Worry about that tomorrow. You got the day off. I'll send you in a car to pack a bag. Until then, the hotel will provide all. Enjoy. Thanks, Professor. Alright. A fancy new automobile is waiting for you outside. It spirits you to the King Edward Hotel in the fanciest part of town. Look at that. This is very different from last time. G. I wonder if Roberta shows up in this ending. Or maybe Ken shows up in this one. You make your way to the hotel's restaurant. You're starving. Because of the lateness of the hour, you find yourself alone in the cavernous room, save for the servers. You dine on roast duckling with applesauce, fresh green peas, and chateau potatoes. You finish off with peaches imperial and chamomile tea. After which, you find your way to your luxuriously appointed room, feeling slightly green in the gills. Ah, I think the food is a bit richer than I'm used to. So is this the ending where we get lit up by a machine gun? Here's hoping. You sink into the fancy feather bed. Your churning gut and general sense of unease make it hard to sleep. You stare at the ceiling and wonder if you actually want to be the Queen of Diamonds. You could have done better in your investigating of the motives and actions of the other guests at the lodge. You scored 11 points out of 24 during your pre-departure ponderings. Alright. You weren't of much help at all to the Rangers' investigation. Hopefully they can still find justice for the wronged parties. You scored 7 points out of 19 during your interview with Ranger Murdoch. Alright. You could have done better in your investigation or reporting of Margot's death, but you did your best. You scored 0 points out of 8 for your Margot investigation. Carl Leffler, aka Albert Respa, was tried and found guilty of sabotage of the railway bridge, attempted sabotage of the Sulaks, espionage, fraud, theft, and a litany of minor charges. Alright, sure. He was incarcerated at Kingston Penitentiary until his death 12 years later of a heart attack. The Sulaks were patrolled by the Northwest Mounted Police for the duration of the Great War, and no other sabotage attempts were made. Thanks to this vigilance, Canadian supply lines along the Great Waterways remained uninterrupted. This played an important part in Commonwealth war efforts and crucially contributed to the Allied victory. Corvus Shaw was found guilty of being an accomplice in Evan's kidnapping. He was disbarred and served 3 years in a medium security prison. He became hardened by his prison experiences and fell in with the wrong crowds. Corvus spent the rest of his years in and out of correctional facilities for various white-collar crimes. Margot was buried in a cemetery of a town she'd never been to because Crimson Cemetery was demolished along with everything else. Oh shit. Hebe Kishiro was greatly upset by the opening of the pit mine in Crimson and the subsequent destruction of the nesting colony of cormorants and other wildlife. She went home to Vancouver, never again to travel east of the Rockies. I somehow got a worse ending this time. Once the government seized the lodge and lands, Jack moved on. He found odd jobs here and there, but he never found another place he could call home. Because you revealed the diamonds in Crimson, not only was Evan's lodge and land seized by the government to help fund the burgeoning war effort, but so was the lands of Nathan Cardinal's family. A gaping open pit mine was created and devastated the area. The Cardinals moved further north and persisted. Nessa Krabby was never seen again. It could be that she never made it out of the mine, or that she kept a low profile after her escape. Because of the relatively minor nature of her criminal charges, kidnapping and attempted fraud, she wasn't considered a priority to apprehend, and a full-scale woman hunt was never conducted by the authorities. It rankles you that she got away with at least one murder. You find yourself looking over your shoulder often, and you still see her vengeful, firelit face in your nightmares. Because of the huge pit mining operation that overtook Crimson, Evan was forced by the government to sell the lodge and lands to them for next to nothing. Destitute, homeless, and grieving, he took to the bottle and died a few months later. He was laid to rest many miles away in a pauper's grave in town he'd never seen before. Your discovery of the first diamonds in Canada was big news! You became known as the Queen of Diamonds and are Tirana's brightest new star. Alright, finally we got some positivity here. That autumn, the Royal Canadian Museum hosted your eagerly awaited exhibit, The Diamonds of Crimson. It garnered international acclaim, media outlets clamor for interviews, and a book deal is brokered. Fame and fortune are yours. It almost feels like this should have gone first. Of like, hey, you did it. You should feel great about it. And then it gives like, oh, you caused the destruction of everybody else's lives. Occasionally, you come across small news items about the declining cormorant population in northern Ontario, or disputes over land rights, or environmentalist protests, but you push those out of your mind. The incredible wealth generated by the newly dug mines in Crimson contributes greatly to the war effort. You're showered with praise and accolades, and even appear on some propaganda posters. You find yourself too busy managing your newfound wealth and social status to consider going to school for mineralogy, but you figure you merely took a shortcut to what you really wanted, right? Thanks for playing. Man, that's... Alright. That one is definitely the worst ending. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, for sure. Because, like, that's the whole point of the game is, like, are there diamonds or not in the area? Yeah, and they're right. And they're right. Okay. Alright, there we go. So that's, that is most of the Crimson Diamond. Let's see what, achievements I ended up here with. So the only one that I got, which apparently is a rare achievement, is 4 out of 4 for the end game stuff, and Bye Bye Birdies is that one. If we look at global achievements, all right. So let's take a look. So if you don't want to see some of these hidden achievements for your own playthrough or whatever, just tune out for the next couple minutes, I guess. So this one. Shadows and Darkness, don't wander aimlessly in the dark. Death 5 of 7. Okay, so I tried to turn off my my lantern. It wouldn't let me, but apparently there was some way to do that. So sure. What is this? For Margot, long live the spirit of adventure. Okay, I don't know what that one would even be. This one, overindulged. Please enjoy responsibly. Death 1 of 7. So the first death that you could get in chapter 1, I guess, was drink a lot. I guess. Sure, I don't remember being able to drink. I guess you'd have to go into the bar and then just use the drink command enough times until you died of alcohol poisoning, I guess. I don't know. Huh. Sure. Extra mighty fine detective work. Okay. So that's probably getting the highest possible rating, I think. What is this one? Extra 3 or 4, get a grip. Maybe that's killing Nessa or something? I don't know. And then not in a museum, all samples obtained. That only 3.1% of players got. Huh. Okay. Sure. All right, there we go. So 10 hours, 50 minutes on the clock here for Crimson Diamond. So how did I feel about this one? So I felt it was authentic. It pretty accurately recreated the experience of playing a game at a Sierra style adventure game from the 80s. There's a few things that bothered me about it. One is kind of a minor thing because it's period accurate, but I felt like there wasn't enough music in the game for most of it, which is why the ending sequences of the game, so from the mine onwards, there was music playing for most of the gameplay. I don't think it was a technical limitation keeping them from having music in the other 90% of the game. So it would have been nice if there's more music playing. The other thing was, this game is based around parser input, where you're typing in commands to get it to do stuff. And it felt to me like it was almost underutilized. Where it felt like it could have easily still just been a mouse-driven game, with like the only distinctions being look and examine, and for that you just have two different icons, one for look with eye and one for magnifying glass or something. And I feel like there weren't enough occasions in this that justified the use of the parser system. Yeah, and like it, because of the way that the parser system works, in a few occasions it felt like it gave away the solutions to a puzzle. Of like, the one thing that I noted, and it was actually fixed in a patch the other day, was I was trying to get the candle wax or something, or I was trying to get a fingerprint from a cookie. So my thought was to freeze the jam in the cookie and then pull out the jam from the frozen jam from the cookie in order to get the fingerprint in there. But instead, the solution was to take a different cookie without jam in it, put some melted candle wax in it, and then freeze it. And then that would give you the fingerprint in the cookie. So I tried freezing the cookie, and then it mentioned something about wax in it. And that gave away of like, oh, you're supposed to go into the other room, get one of the candles, and take the candle wax from it, and then use that to do this puzzle solution. So it feels like that probably could have been more elegantly handled in a mouse-based interface, I guess. But I suppose the game was designed to work around this typing in parser interface. It just feels like, for the most part, it was almost unnecessary, I guess, and in some ways detracted from the experience. But that said, I do appreciate parser adventure games. Like that's my preferred way to play games like this. Like Space Quest 3, Quest for Glory 1 and 2, King's Quest 4, and I think there was some other games that use this mouse plus typing style of gameplay for it. So I appreciate it, but it feels like there was some parts that didn't quite work as well. I felt all the art in the game was fantastic, very very period appropriate, really well done. Like nothing stuck out to me as like, oh, this looks a little shoddy. Like all the consistently high quality, all the animations. It was a little unusual in some parts. Like some animations had like, it felt like 10 frames of animation, and then some of them had like 2 frames of animation, it felt like. So so that was a little strange to see. Like probably some art time could have been saved on some of these things for having a lot of frames of animation unnecessarily, it felt like. Like I think one of them was someone getting into and out of the car, I want to say. That one had way more frames of animation than needed for that scene. But you know, that is what it is. There's a lot of focus put on that. Let's see. So there's also some parts in the game where it felt like it was unfair to the player. Like the example of there being a conversation on the riverbank, and if you approached from the left side of the screen, you wouldn't be able to hear what the conversation was. But if you approached from the north side of the screen, then apparently you would have. And it feels like there probably should have been some warning to the player on the previous screen of like, you hear voices off in the distance or something, and maybe that would cause you to save your game and save scum that if you needed to. But there wasn't any indication given to me that there was going to be some missable event on the next screen over. But again, that if the game was trying to model itself after the Laura Bow games, Laura Bow games absolutely did that too. So, for better or for worse, I guess that that particular feature was present in this one. Let's see. The dialogue in this felt authentic. I'll give it that. And I don't think any parts of the game for me got boring, I'd say. There were some parts of like, I'm not sure exactly what to do next. Like, I was looking for Nessa's footprint to figure out her shoe size definitively, and the place I found it was in like the last place I would have thought to have looked for her shoe print. So things like that, because I know that's kind of a problem in a lot of puzzle and adventure games of like, sure, you get a whole bunch of progress up close, and then you reach like the one last thing you need to do in order to get to the next chapter, and it just takes you forever to find it. And it felt like that happened like 3 times in this game of constant progress, and then you just hit a wall. So I am thankful that the game does have the walkthrough kind of built into it. So there's the notepad that's in your inventory that just keeps notes of everything that you've seen and has little checks for stuff that you've done. And then there's actually a straight up walkthrough built into the game that's separate from the game. And I appreciate that that's in there. The drawing. What the one in the curing shack? The one under the table, the jam drawing. I thought the drawing was of a cookie though. Huh. Okay. So let's see. The total time on the game, about 11 hours. The first time I beat the game was at the 10-hour mark. So I'd say that pretty much roughly aligns with how long some of the other Sierra style adventure games were. So I can't knock it for that. The cookies are named for them. Okay, yeah, I don't remember that at all. Interesting. Okay. All right, sure. Just a lot of obscure stuff like that. And yeah, based off of the score that it gave me at the end of the game for like, you got 8 out of 20 on the interview at the end. Like, clearly there's a lot more depth to this than it initially appears like. And apparently, like, there's an entire thing with the Margot investigation that I didn't do at all, even though like I examined the body as good as it would let me. Like, I looked at her lips, I think I looked at her hair, her eyes, fingernails, and all that, and like, all right, sure. Yeah, like as a detective game, I think it did a pretty good job of nailing that aspect. Because that's kind of what the Laura Bow games were, and this one also being a Laura Bow like, that it wasn't just a linear adventure game, it was also a whodunit, and you're supposed to be doing investigative stuff rather than your typical adventure game thing of like, pick up every single thing that isn't nailed down and try using everything on each other until you eventually get to the end. So in this one, you're trying to piece together multiple mysteries in this, and I guess I wasn't exactly approaching the game like that. I wasn't approaching the game with a detective's mindset as much as I probably should have, which is another reason why I didn't really use the notepad system in the game that much, and I hardly took any notes at all. Like, this is what my notes look like for this. It's just the stuff I had to get in chapter 1, and then give me a shoe size, and that's all the notes that I wrote down. because it felt like I didn't need to take notes in this one. Exactly. I'm a mineralogist, not a detective. Another criticism that I would say about this game is that it felt like it dumped a lot of text boxes on you all at once. Like in the period accurate late 80s, early 90s Sierra adventure game, if you looked at an item in your inventory, it'll give you maybe like 2 or 3 sentences about it. In this game, it'll be like 4 sentences. You hit enter. Here's another 4 sentences. Hit enter. Here's 5 sentences. Hit enter. 2 sentences. Enter. For like every single thing. So it felt like maybe some things could have been a little more succinct. And it also kind of gave away some things of like, if you did just look, if you go into a room and do look, in a Sierra game, it will give you a big ass block of text of everything in the room. In this one, it'll give you the big ass block of text describing the room, and then it'll give you small, like, single lines of like, there's a cabinet in the corner, and there's a trash bag full of stuff in the corner as well, and there's a stain underneath the chair or something. In small individual text boxes that would pop up one after another. So it's it kind of incentivizes the player to be less perceptive just looking at the scene, when you could type in the look command and it will just spell out to you like, here's all the suspicious stuff in the room, you know? And it's not like the player could avoid using the look command just because it's so useful for seeing stuff. So you ended up relying on the look command, and I think in a few cases the look command didn't show everything that was suspicious as well. So like it was weird. It felt like there was some inconsistencies to how that system all worked. But that said, I think difficulty wise, this is probably right up there with any old Sierra game. It seems like there's no dead man walking situations that could come up with this one. The bullshit deaths in this usually always had a autosave that happened right before you could get into the death situation. So that's good. That's a nice modern convenience, so you don't have to worry about, oh, did I save anytime soon? Well, I guess I'm starting the game over, I guess. So that doesn't come up, and that's nice. Most of the puzzles felt like they had solutions that made some sort of logical sense, which is also a nice improvement from a lot of Sierra games. So I think that goes pretty well with how difficult I would rate the game. And then how I felt about the game overall. I thought this was a very faithful recreation of the Lower Bow games and Sierra parser games in the late 80s, early 90s. Really not much I would realistically change about this, since it was so faithful and I just happen to be a fan of these kinds of games. Like, if you're a modern adventure gamer and you haven't really played any games from that period, you would probably still be a little put off by, I would say, the clunkiness of those types of games and having to type. Yeah, not enough buts. But I certainly enjoyed it. This is definitely my kind of game. I appreciate that this game was lovingly crafted, and I hope that there's more in this series, or more by the same developer. Great game. So I'd probably give this a 5 out of 5. Honestly, like for exactly what it aimed to be, which is recreating the Lower Bow experience. I think it nailed it. And very little that I would change for it. It's all just pretty much minor stuff. So there we go. Well done, Julia. Crimson Diamond, done in 9 parts, 10 hours, 50 minutes, 11 deaths. Saves, don't worry about it, more than 4. 5 out of 5. Recommended. Okay, so there we go. That is the Crimson Diamond. I am not sure what I am going to stream next. I'm finding myself having less and less time to myself lately, and probably will in the future. So we'll see. Streaming might be even more inconsistent than it's been lately, but we'll see. I'll try and find some time. And I know that there's some stuff that I want to play in the near future, including the new Flight Simulator game. Flight Simulator 2024 is out next week. And I've got my little flight sim chair set up for it. And there's some other stuff I think that I want to play in the near future. So we'll see. Anyways, that'll do it for me tonight and for the near future. Thank you for watching. Nice to see y'all again. And until we meet again, see you later.